So, Paul Pierce, you've said the Clippers lack leadership while Russell Westbrook was hurt. He did return last night. He played pretty well, 14 points and 7 assists in 18 minutes. So how do you view this team now?
I mean, he seemed like one of the few players that cared to make the hustle plays. But I see a team that's probably going to be a first-round exit. I mean, we're at the end of the year, and I'm hearing words like no identity. We're soft. We don't hustle. We don't. Like, come on, this is not what you want to hear with 10 games left in the season. I mean, they just collapsing. They're falling apart at the wrong time.
They are.
This is not the time you want. This is when you want to come together, really know who you are. And I just have no faith in the Clippers at this point with just a few games remaining. They're having some bad losses. No, this is an identity crisis is what I'm seeing.
Yep.
And so I'm not – and the coach calling you soft, that's not what I want to hear. Like, I can't take those words at this stage being called soft. So I really see the Clippers just maybe start making vacation plans because the way it is right now, they'll be one and done in the playoffs.
They can't turn on the switch?
This late in the season, you don't know who you are.
But if LeBron can turn on the switch, why can't Kawhi turn on the switch?
If you don't know who you are, I've never heard a LeBron team say, we don't have an identity. I've never heard a LeBron team say, we're soft. Those are strong words for a team with only 10, 11 games to go.
Those words can't trickle into that locker room?
I'm not sure if I'm not sure how this team is built. I mean, they plan an ebb and flow. They're moody. They're up one day, they're having fun. James is contesting his own teammate shot, and then the next day, they lose, and then they lose. I mean, I don't know who this team is right now.
Yeah, first of all, I'm not a Clipper fan, so
aren't you having some fun with this?
No, not really, because I feel bad for the four guys that I know and I like.
Yeah.
Which is Paul George, obviously, and Kawhi and James Harden and Westbrook. I want to see them somehow get a championship. But I don't really want to see them get one because they don't, L.A. Clippers, they don't deserve one. Those guys deserve it. And, when I go to looking at it, and I know a lot of people say, well, this is the James Harden syndrome. This is the James Harden syndrome. See, take a look. Check the box. This is what happened in Houston. This is what happened in Brooklyn. Oh, my God, 76ers.
Paul brought it up earlier.
I mean,
yeah.
It's like they're melting down right before our eyes at the end of the season. This is where you don't need this.
But he was playing good a month and a half ago, right? He was playing pretty damn good basketball. I think they could get back to that. They just got to figure out what their problems are. When you lose to an Indiana Pacers team, and I think the night before,
Philadelphia with no Embiid.
76ers with no Embiid. It's just like, what do you think, or are you settled in being in the fifth spot? Or are you happy being sitting at 5? And like, oh, okay, we just gonna hit the button when the playoffs come.
You're not good enough to hit the button. This is not a team that's been to the finals. This is not a team that's won the championship. A team that I'm seeing hit the button right now is Denver. Like, they're playing the best basketball in the league, it seems like, because they got championship experience. They know how to get to the next level. This is not a Clipper team that can have these type of lulls at this stage in the season and say, oh, we'll pick it up in the playoffs. Yep. We'll be better. Things will turn around. No, they got to do it now. They got to have signature wins now. They can't be losing to teams at home or teams that are playoff bound at this stage, especially at home.
It was a back-to-back for Indy, too, huh?
Well, you watched them against the Lakers, and they fought their butts off. Like they left a lot out on that floor and came right back the next night.
They should have been tired, and they in L.A.
Yeah, right. Bingo.
And they kicked it.
And they hung out at the game.
And they said, oh, we got the Clippers tonight. We got this.
So I love Ty Lue, and I can make a case he's as good as there is coaching basketball. But to your point, Keyshawn Johnson, you always say, well, he can't play. Well, he can't. He can only do so much. He can scream and yell behind closed doors. He's not a screamer and yeller on the bench, but I'm sure he has raised his voice to them behind closed doors. So he was angry last night in his postgame, and I loved it because he should have been angry, because he sees the handwriting on the locker room wall. They are falling apart right before your very eyes, and he seems a little bit lost on how to fix it on the fly. So another quote from him. Remember, they went 26-5 in one stretch before they left on their road trip. 26-5, and we're in here talking about they could challenge Denver. You know, like they look like they could be the best team. So here's Ty Lue after the game, another quote. He said, when we were 26-5, we had great identity. So you can't pick and choose when you want to lead. Interesting that he used that word. You can't pick and choose when you want to have an identity. You can't pick and choose when you want to do things the right way. So he's saying, I don't know what was going on there, but somebody was leading us. And the leader of the team is Kawhi Leonard, and he's a quiet leader. He does it by example. His body, I know Kawhi. I know what his body language looks like, and I watched a whole bunch of that game last night until it was over before it got to the fourth quarter. Kawhi didn't look like he was that interested in playing that basketball game. And when he's like that, his teammates feel it and see it, and there's no contagious factor because it's contagious bad for them. Because for some reason, he's not engaged in what they're doing right now because I think he sees them falling apart, and he does not love that. But he's not going to scream and yell about it because that's not his way. So you talked about how Russ is a leader off the bench. Now, it's hard for me to see Russ as a leader, but you're just talking about his energy leads the team because it ignites, and I get that.
Russ was out there balling last night.
He was.
Well.
With some sort of brace on his wrist hand.
He did. He got a tech for dunking on Halliburton, and he screamed. He's just screaming at the fan. You know, he's just like screaming to himself, and they gave him a tech for it. But the point was, yeah, he lifts their second unit, their shock troops, because he comes in and the whole RPM of the game changes when he hits the floor. But it didn't help last night because nobody else seemed that into it. And everybody's numbers look okay. Everybody got their numbers, but the Pacers are just readier to play right from the start.
Yeah, Siakam was out there.
Hey.
He was looking like Giannis or
They
somebody.
just
was.
look a step slow.
Yeah. You know what? Siakam outplayed Kawhi and Paul George, even though their numbers look okay. But to your eye, if you watch the game, Siakam was the best forward on the floor, whatever you want to call those guys, small forwards or whatever they are. He was the best player on the floor last night, and that's why Indiana.
I mean, look at this is a 4-on-1 break. I just saw a 4-on-1 break. You don't see that a lot in the NBA. They just look slow. I mean, their star players are 32 and up. I said this earlier. They can't get back on defense. And maybe they can do something in the playoffs when I'm saying this for a number of teams in the West. Maybe when the game slows down, they can make a difference. But like right now, they're getting run off the court by these younger teams. Philly, I was at the game in Philly, and the young guards just drive the ball down the middle, find open guys, or just lay it up with no resistance. And we saw that last night. Siakam goes down the middle and just dunks the ball whenever he just wanted to. I mean, he looked like the best player in the league last night.
Yeah, he went down the middle. He did. Who was that? They did exactly what you said. Just stay out the way.
Just get out the way.
Yeah, he put his elbow in, kind of got out the way.
And the only one who seemed like they had some life or who played with some intensity was Westbrook.
Yeah.
But it just has to be more infectious to the other guys. You know, you have to look and say, look, this guy, he cares, he wants to win, but it has to be reciprocated through the whole team. And it's just not there right now. I don't know.
When Kawhi first shocked the world and signed with the Clippers instead of the Lakers, everybody was convinced. Do you remember this? Everybody thought he was going to go with LeBron. And at the last second, he pulled the rug out from under the Lakers and went to the stepchildren, right? And that first year of Kawhi Clippers, what was their identity? It was on the defensive end because he and Paul George could flat out lock down people because in their heyday, when they were younger players, God, they could steal the ball, they could deflect, they were hard to get past, and they don't have any defensive identity anymore.
You know what makes me wonder too? You just said an interesting thing that, you know, Kawhi re-signed. Paul George hasn't re-signed yet. James Harden hasn't signed an extension yet. You think that can factor into the play? Because you see as a player, you like, oh, we're the same age, or we're lined up to probably retire together.
Yeah.
You know, okay, you get Kawhi an extension. Well, it's probably my turn to get an extension. And then, you know, James Harden, you know, I took the trade to come here with the idea I'm probably going to end my career here. And they haven't signed extensions. So, you know, some of that could be creeping into their head. Like, you know, that's an effect.
James always waits.
I mean, we see that with Klay Thompson right now. He didn't get his extension. Draymond did. And it's something that bothered him. It's something, and he was kind of open about it. You know, that's something that could be happening with I don't know. I'm just saying, though.
Yeah. All right. So your gut feeling is one and done.
I think just the way they're playing, I don't see them getting out the first round. They got to go to New Orleans. It looks like as of today, and they can potentially slide even more if they have to end up going to playing a young team, which it seems like they're vulnerable against these young, quick teams like a OKC or Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't see them getting out the first round.
So I also read a quote from James Harden after the game. I'm not a big fan. You like him, but I think you like him more off the court than maybe on the court.
I like him on both, though. That's just me.
James Harden said after last night, we got to find our identity. Teams are scoring easy on us, makes it difficult to score offensively. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to hear that from James, who doesn't play a lot of defense himself and does not set a tone on that end. And I've been on the record with this from day one. I just don't think you can win big with James running your show. I just don't. I don't think he's that guy. When it's,
But he's not running the show.
well, he is. No, I mean, he's the orchestrator.
He's not running the show. No.
Well,
That team goes through Kawhi, then PG, then he's the third guy.
No, he initiates everything.
I mean, the ball is in his hand.
Yeah, he dribbles the ball.
But he's giving it up. He ain't holding it like he was in Houston or nothing like that.
Not at the same magnitude, but he's initiating the offense. He calls his number when he wants to run. I mean, the best play for James to be effective is the high pick and roll.
Yeah.
And we know if Kawhi and Paul George and Russ is out there, they're watching James run a high pick and roll into him, watching him barrel down the lane and make one pass for a shot, that these guys are just going to be kind of standing around, watching him do his thing in the pick and roll. Instead of getting into a flow, this team needs to play a certain type of offense to where it's a flow, where there's dribble handoffs, to where there's cuts, there's back doors, there's slashing, to where these guys can get the ball in position to where they can score, not watching James Harden run pick and rolls, especially
with Zubats. That's
with Zubac. Yeah. That's not the offense they ran pre-James Harden.
Yeah. I don't know, Key. I think you're going to have a happy spring here because I think the Clippers are going home quickly.
If they go home, that's,
all right. All right, back to the NFL next.
Boston
Wait a
and
second.
the Clippers at home? Oh, my God.
Kirk Cousins just incriminated his new team, the Falcons? What? Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.